So Mocap and VR week 6. We are going to add two Ipisoft motion capture skeletons to our scene. The problem is they're both named exactly the same thing, so when you drag the second one in, it copies all of its data to the original one, which is no good. So what I want you to do is I want you to bring in the first one, and then I want you to not touch it. So I'm going to bring in BF sword animation, import file. I'm going to set it off to one side, and I'm just going to sit there. Specifically noticing that everything is still selected in the hierarchy. So what I want you to do once everything's in, with everything still selected, I'm going to go to Tools and Rename Objects. Yep.
For some reason, my 3ds Max is in French, and it won't speak English.
Cool. Google might be able to help you with that if Tyler can't. So with rename object selected, we're going to uncheck base name. And either prefix or suffix, I like prefix. And we're just going to type 01 underscore. And what this will do is this will rename every object by adding the prefix 01 underscore to every one of the bones. They'll all be linked the right way, it'll all be perfect, at which point I can bring in my second animation with no issue because they're not named the same. And just for, future use, I'm going to go ahead and rename this one as well. Checking the prefix to 02 underscore, and obviously you could, name one punchy underscore or swordy underscore. And if we change the time, rescale that guy out. Yep, nope. Then they'll both play their animations.
What was the rename again? Under?
Tools. If you accidentally drag this guy in and get them unselected, they all have a hip, which you can double click to select everything underneath. You can also come out to hip and notice how you'd have to open up each one of these. That would take forever. You can close this and control click to open up every one of them, and then scroll down to the bottom and shift click to select everyone in between. So there's a few different options you have for selecting those. So let's say I'm going to select both of you. Huh. That's funny. Yep.
I forgot. Was BF sort supposed to jump?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so I got another one for you. You ready for this? BF sortie only goes to frame 380, while the other guy goes on for like another 200 frames. What you can do, if you select every part of BF sortie by double-clicking on his hip, for example, is you can come down here to the timeline, which is very hard to see on my screen, and we're just going to click and drag all of the frames in the timeline. And then, with 3ds Max logic, we're going to click and hold down shift and drag them out, which will create a copy. And if we can, it's very laggy on my machine, but if we can bring this roughly close to the original, then we've created a copy of these frames, or we've moved them. Dang it. Maybe I have to hold shift. Yeah, hold shift down first. First shift and then click. And that creates a copy, which means that they both play more than once. Yeah. So your time configuration is right down here with this button. See that guy? Open that guy. And then under end time, bottom middle, right there. Change that to like 800 and hit enter. There you go. So what this means additionally is that we could take this epic slash from 196 to 239 and repeat it. Is it 190? Yeah. So shift drag out, and he slices, and he comes back real fast, way too fast. We'll move him out a little bit to give him time to like interpolate, and he comes up and he slices again. And if we shift drag out again, so he's doing his animation, slice and slice and slice, and then slowly moving to his next frame. So we can copy animations that we like and just do them over and over. And say we hate the jump. Does everybody hate the jump? I personally hate the jump. So let's go ahead and select every one of these. And if we change the time scale, well, how do we do this? So let's change the time scale, the end time. So start time is 0. Let's change the start time to -50 for a second. And then our end time, let's change that to 50. And let's hit OK. And let's select that first frame and just delete it. So the first frame starts here. Or let's get rid of the T-pose entirely. And let's stop at frame 30, 32. Because then we can go in and change our time scale back to 0, or heck, we could make the start time 30, since that's where we started deleting frames, and our end time back to 800 or whatever it is. And now, because we know where the hip is supposed to be, we can drag him into the proper place and have him move like we want, which is pretty cool. Oh no, I know what I did. I didn't copy all of them, I just copied the hip. What do you guys think of those apples? Questions? Thoughts? Is it working?
No.
Okay, camera's not working.
Still trying to figure out how to actually get it to shorten the length.
Shorten what?
Well, like how to get it to look at everything, right? I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm doing the shift click and it's not like
Well, you don't have like enough room, maybe? Because it only goes to 400. So maybe you should add 800 or 1200.
And he's a return.
What do you got?
There is no animation. He's just moving.
Cameron, I don't think you hit enter.
Just does like this weird.
I hit enter, it's at
Is it all there? Good.
I took off all the T-pose.
Check out the T-pose.
Yeah, it keeps going.
Caden, how's it going? Zach, any questions?
But I didn't like it. Like more thinking, and it doesn't match up.
See how this guy's not keeping his feet on the ground?
Oh.
We broke him. Let's start over with him. Cameron, how's it going? Happy? If at any point in time your feet stop staying stuck to the ground, delete it and start over. Windows are small.
Because we need to try and drop it. That's the least of my problems.
You followed the time?
Yeah.
Probably because your stuff was in French.
No, I changed it. It's not French anymore.
Alright. I mean, it all still works the same, it's just a lot harder to see.
What?
Yeah, you're not the only person who's done that. Google probably knows how to fix that. Yeah, sorry. Natalie, how's it going? Do you have some French copy? Oh, yeah, fix your T-pose.
Yeah, I realized what I did. Did the break it. I more or less wanted to do the face each other, but more or less that ended up breaking them.
Yeah. If you just move the hip, not everything, it should work.
Is he doing it?
Hello, any questions?
It's because he's the rewind.
Just on the phone looking at stuff?
Has to go back.
Alright. This side, any questions?
Is this look great? He does this moonwalk right here. I'm gonna leave this. It looks kind of weird, but it's hilarious.
I know, right? Yeah.
It's like, woo.
I'd speed it up. I'd make it look like a step back.
Mr. Foster?
Yeah.
Should we keep the T-pose so we have an aperture on it?
That's a good point. We haven't put anything on these guys yet. Actually, so it'd be smart to keep your T-pose for that. Or let me further show. This is just a test. Nobody's turning in what we're doing right now.
Again.
Okay? So you can leave your T-pose if you want. If you take away your T-pose or you have or whatever, it's good practice. I need you to practice doing that. But maybe we want to talk about skinning for a minute. Who hates skinning? And rightly so. It's awful. Except for when you do it my way, because I do it really good. Alright, so let's find a good T-pose. Because I deleted mine. That's my bad. I'm going to bring in sortie again, which I can because I renamed the other two. Here we go. And rename prefix 03. Ah, I see the issue. Okay. Boom. Perfect T-pose. Okay, so skinning is an interesting thing. And essentially what it does is it creates some geometry over your bones, and then when the bones move, so does the geometry of the single mesh. We've been doing hard body modeling, which is where each bone is attached to a different object. In this one, the object will move and deform based around the skinning, based around the skin. So find this first perfect T-frame, or you know what, really just any close T-frame will work too, because right now we're only building the legs. And I want you to build a box around the tops of the two legs.
Does this work?
I don't know. I can't see it. Is it a box?
No, does this work as a T-pose?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I'll make mine a little bit larger than that. So just around the hips like that. Maybe I could isolate this selection. There we go. So we got some real short shorts. And then I want you to right click on that guy. There we go. Convert to editable poly. I'll try selecting it again, Cameron. I was having issues with that too. So yeah, there. And then we are going to click 2 to select the bottom two individual lines. Actually, we should select all the lines going this way. Just kind of a good practice. And we're going to connect these. There's a connect tool down here. And if you select the settings box next to it, we can connect it with 2 segments. And this is what I'm looking for. You can hit OK once you get these 2 segments. Just on the bottom. And hit OK. Got check mark. Any issues? No issues? Just in this way ahead of me. You get the connect button out of it? Yeah. Alright, and then we can hit 4 to go to face selection mode, and I totally didn't connect and finish that. So 4, face selection mode, I want you to select both of these, and I want you to extrude them down to the knees. Perfect. And then we can actually hit the plus sign, which will extrude them a second time. We'll extend those down to the ankles. And then I'm actually going to extrude them one more time, just a very little bit. And then I'm going to extrude them forward for the feet. And one more time, and we'll scale these guys down. Okay. So once you get there, yeah, just the extrude. One more time. I can go ask him.
I can. I can go ahead.
Okay, yeah, you can go ask him.
Where do we add in the vertexes again?
Show me the bottom of this. And we are connecting the bottom 2 lines. Now we're going to connect what the settings for. So Control Z that.
Oh.
Go to the settings window because we want to add 2. Perfect.
And then extrude just these 2 specifically?
Uh-huh.
Alright.
You got it. All right. So making sure that we turn off face selection mode, polygon editing mode. I'm going to create a duplicate of my pants just for backup. And then we're going to add the skin modifier. Alright, so skin modifier, and then down here in the modify tab there are bones, and we will add, and we're just going to select left thigh, right thigh, left shin, well essentially these 8, thigh, shin, foot, and toe on either leg. Just those 8 bones. And then hit OK, or hit select. And if you play your animation now, your pants will come along. And they will bend and distort, just like we want. Which is pretty cool. Oh, huh. Ricardo, that doesn't look the same.
Did you also select the toes as well, or
I selected my toe bones. Not the effector toe, just the toe. Ricardo?
Where do FBX come from, Brian? Is it Hippiesoft?
It's not.
Okay.
Because everybody else has the same models.
Okay.
I've seen this on a couple of different people's programs, and they just come in different.
Yeah, I was just curious.
And it'll still work essentially the same, but
Okay.
it's hard to see. Yeah, I know. Why is yours different, man? What'd you do?
I don't know, it's probably just how the feet are. Feel dope.
You go the same as me, right? Start at the top and shoot it down. Yeah, try movement. Try making your feet smaller, I guess. That's all I can recommend. Yeah. That's all I can suggest. Try sword direction. Mine's that way. Just looking at the feet. Yeah, I know. Sorry. Yeah, start over.
Where do I go to extrude? Like, how would I go about extruding
all that well
forward to the feet?
So we extrude it down just a little bit for our heel, right? Here, look at me. Extrude it down, and then instead of selecting the bottom face, you're going to select the front face and extrude it that way. Just like that. Yeah.
Is it only on yours? Did you?
I tried to start it.
And that still didn't help? Yeah, okay, well, I'm out of ideas, because the bone tool was the only thing I had up. And I was able to resize them, just not helpful. Yeah, I would maybe try it. You reboot the machine. Try to reboot the machine. That might clear out something in the cast that's causing you problems.
Not bigger, just centered better. You also
Way to go, Chloe Daddy.
What is that?
I'm gonna research that.
Yeah.
How do I more or less get the
No, they shouldn't be obvious.
So instead of extruding the bottom faces, extrude the front faces.
Well, when I try to extrude the front and more.
Also extrude one more time, a foot amount.
Why?
So select the bottom.
What do you mean? They were just school shooting.
Extrude down just a little bit.
It's basically
Because you need to extrude to leave that set of lines and cortexes.
I've been eating you.
I didn't say what did you see.
Yeah, because you've got your knees, you'll want to have lines for your knees too. Yeah, of course. Of course. Okay, so let's take this a little bit farther. There's another step. So obviously this looks amazing. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy. But we can do better. And the way that we can do better is by adding Turbo Smooth. And let's say we have 2 iterations.
How about 10?
Nope, not 10. We all know that doesn't work. But now we get these really smooth, Gumby looking legs, which is a pretty nice look.
suddenly more shooting so that feeling feels suddenly away.
What else does this have? Taurine, vitamin D,
No, it's an energy drink. It's literally 75%.
pure, 100% pure Colombian wheat protein.
Dang it, it's all closed.
I did the watch it's really, it's amazing.
That's amazing.
So you can have Again, I want it to be playing, but it does that thing. I don't even know what that does.
Nice.
Is there like a reason behind this?
Nothing more, but probably. So it's just, you know.
I mean, there is buttons in here.
Not mouse buttons, it's gross. What do you think, Gamer? Looks like pants. Yep. Crazy. Let me show you another thing. Say you're working with a model that isn't perfectly straight. So we've got this guy here. He's not perfectly straight. We can still fix that. Well, we can still make it work. So I'm going to build my box. Make it a bit taller. Oh, not that. Nope. Front, zoom. Here's this guy, here's this guy. And left. Okay. And F3, zoom, perspective, convert to editable poly. We'll select all four to keep our geometry the same. And we will connect these two. Oh. There we go. And then we will extrude down. And do it again. And then again, but to much less amounts. Okay, and what we can do then, and Ricardo, this is specifically for you, okay? If you press 1, we can select these 4 vertexes around the knee and move them into place. And then again, on the other side. And this will help us match our geometry a little bit better. Zach, this might apply to you as well. You're going to want to select the vertices, and move them exactly into the right spot, if possible. So this whole leg could benefit from being right over the foot. This foot's in a totally different spot, so I'm going to move it back. The knee's in the right spot. This foot's also too far forward. And the closer we can match geometry in this view, in this first frame, the closer our skin will match when we apply our skin modifier. And then you can do fun things like just make the foot move up a little bit. So turn that off. Skin modifier. Add the bones. This is hip 2, I think. thigh, shin, foot, toe, thigh, shin, foot, toe, select, and F3 to watch, and it comes along real nice, hopefully. And then a further turbo smooth. Now, if you want to keep your roughly blocky look here, the best way to do that is to go back to your editable poly and chamfer, that's right. I'm going to press 2 to select everything. Well, I'm going to press 2 to select my edges, and then Control A to select all, and then I'm going to chamfer a little bit. And as long as that doesn't actually break anything, when I turbo smooth after the fact, I'll get much more blocky results. Oh no, that's bad. This is because the turbo smooth needs to go. Here, I'll show you that again. Turbo smooth beneath the skin is not what you want. You get stuff like that. But if you move the turbo smooth above the skin, it will much more smoothly move things around. And I think the issues I'm getting with it still being kind of stiff. Well, look, it kind of bends at the knees, but unfortunately, yeah, it's pretty rough. And that's going to be because I used chamfer on my editable poly. I think. I'm pretty sure. What if we skin before? Okay, things get real unpleasant. And so my method, the Brian Foster method of skinning, is fast and limited. The Professor Simpson method will get you everywhere you want to go, probably. But my way really just works when it works. But luckily, I don't have to do a lot to make it work. So I'm going to go back to that editable poly and undo that chamfering, and then re-turbo smooth it. And that's just wrong. Okay. Add hip 2. And terrific. Okay, so everybody's got pants. Pants are great. Why didn't we do the entire mesh?
Because we need to do it one at a time, and because it would flow smoother if they're each separate.
Maybe. Peyton?
Because if something breaks, if it's separate, it's easier to fix.
Sure, good. Okay, so specifically, when you skin your entire guy to a single mesh, and you can try this all day long, the direction that this femur goes will affect the way that the shoulder goes of your skin, but in the opposite direction. So as this guy is walking, his shoulder goes back here, and then forward, and then back, related to where the femur goes, the thigh goes. And so it breaks all sorts of ways. So the way that I've been able to get around this, I can get around this in 3 meshes. One for the back, and then finally the head. I usually, skin the head as just a sphere. But I will get the backbones, and then I will get the arms. I guess they're skinned themselves. So back, legs, and then 2 arms. So this ends up being 4 meshes, and then 5 for the head. And that is how I skin my mocap characters well. Give you, let me see, I can probably show you an example. So somewhere in here is my mocap data. First version of putting lights and legs with the lattice. Good fun. Version 2 of this was way better. He was actually like punching balls that were being thrown at him. This is that same sortie animation, but I rendered it at 1080p and it took like a week. It's also got particles that are being lit up by that light sword, which is a pretty neat effect. And then finally, after this guy, is my skinned mesh right there, which looks pretty good, right? I like him. So yeah, your part of your assignment today is to do that. I want that. But of course, we're doing the midterm, so your midterm's going to require some skinned meshes. Let's see. We've got skinning. We've got multiple Episoft skeletons. We've got copy pasting frames. It's 8:51 and time for a break.